Welcome to the World Football Summit podcast, the show for football industry leaders who want to stay ahead of the game. We bring you the latest insights, trends, and stories from the experts driving innovation and progress in sports business worldwide. Join us as we dive deep into the ideas and initiatives transforming the world of football. From sustainability and innovation to player development, fan engagement, and everything in between. Our goal is to unite the global football industry and drive positive change and progress. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I'm your host, Jaime, CMO at World Football Summit. Today, another solo episode as we're embarking on an exciting journey into the future of football. Not just the 90 minutes on the pitch, but the entire ecosystem that some clubs are building surrounding this beautiful game that we all love. Before we kick off, though, remember, you can subscribe, rate the podcast on your platform of choice. You can share it with your colleagues in the industry. And, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can find the link in the show notes. This 2024, we have events in London, in Mexico. We're planning our event in Sevilla in September. More news to come there for other events, hopefully soon. Anyway, check it all out on our website, and hopefully we'll meet you in some part of the world. And now let's dive into the world of football innovation. As this is a topic that I really like to discuss, and looking forward to sharing some thoughts because, this industry of ours is changing every single day, and it's just not constant anymore. It's accelerating, and it's exciting. But the thing is, change without a purpose it's just noise, right? So today, I'm going to share a few things that have been running through my mind ever since I had conversations with, Tim Jagger from Eintracht Frankfurt, also with Thomas Ripens from Club Brugge in Belgium, with Peter Moore, so just amazing leaders that have been in the podcast and that have made me think of where this future is heading, and as we turn everything, all the noise that's all around into some form of a symphony, if you will, around innovation, around fan engagement, sustainable growth, even eSports. To start things off, I want to start with a quote from Tim Jagger from Eintracht Frankfurt. When we spoke, he said that there was a point in 2017 that they decided that if they wanted to compete with the big clubs in Germany, they had to be more innovative. They had to be more digital, right? And the thing is, being digital, it's not about adopting the shiniest new toy, right? About having a clear strategy that actually serves your fans, the community, and of course, that drives revenue growth, that increases the bottom line. It's really just about understanding that data isn't just numbers. It's really about the emotions and heartbeat of the fan base. So Eintracht didn't just go digital for the sake of going digital. It's actually become a driver to drive growth of the business itself. So just think about it. How many times have you seen organizations implement new tech without really understanding why? This is like buying a Ferrari while you're going to go grocery shopping. Do you need that? It looks good, but is it really serving your needs? Just think about it. So first lesson there, the importance of a clear digital strategy. Tim Jagger really emphasizes that the importance of defining an overarching digital strategy, obviously securing top management support. This is key. And in essence, just really engaging all the stakeholders that are going to help you implement that strategy effectively, So this is about just doing the basics. It's like football at the end of the day. And then you have to ensure clear communication across, the entire workflow. Isn't this the same football? Having, the basic concepts right and making sure that the entire team is aligned around those basic concepts, same thing, right? And they emphasize a lot on data-driven decision-making. They actually created a data council that involved fans in the decision-making process. Talk about empowerment, right? Because in the age of information, transparency, it's just not a nice to have. It's essential. It's a key to win, right? So again, involve the fan in the data management and really just make sure that you're adding value and that you focus on value addition rather than monetization. Because when you develop innovative projects, it's not about driving monetization from the get-go. It's about really letting the fan know you're making sure they're getting value out of this innovation, right? That's actually what's going to create more loyalty around whatever initiative you plan to implement. And again, as we said at the beginning, there has to be a lot of purpose, all right? Whenever you implement new initiatives and new technology, for example, Eintracht was very, very, very strong in terms of they wanted to do more around sustainability. And a lot of their Internet of Things initiatives were done with sustainability on their mind, right? So, for example, everything related to smart energy or to smart waste management. Really, it's not only about efficiency, which it is, but it's also the right thing to do, right? So it's about commitment. At the end of the day, when you innovate, it's hard, but you need to balance tradition with innovation. And we've talked about this before, how Major League Soccer, I mean, not Major League Soccer, apologies, guys, Major League Baseball in the United States is a good example to follow because, they always had the legacy of the game in mind. What they did is they used their minor leagues to test innovation. It's something similar to what La Liga is doing with their second division. They're testing out new things. And then if it works, they will implement it in the top tier division, no? Or is this something that football clubs can implement in their youth teams, for example? No. Anyway, again, having new technology, new innovation, it's nice. But again, you really need to understand fan behavior before implementing any new technology, right? Develop your strategy based on fan insights and your club's goals. And when you talk about, new revenue streams, I go back to the conversation we had with Peter Moore around building sustainable business models. Yes, you need to innovate, you need to evolve. Um, Peter actually emphasized the importance of a digital investment, about data management, of understanding fan behavior. So, I mean, if you think about it, all these leaders, they're all aligned in the message because it's what you need to do. So, it's really just focusing on being sustainable from the get go. Another interesting conversation around, fan-centric innovation, if you will. We had it with Raide on the episode. So again, what we talked about with Raide was, how to have be driven by fan insights. You really need to understand the expectations, the preferences, and how they consume content, and not only sports content, just overall what's going on in their lives. And really understand this context, if you will, right? From there, you will be able to develop tailored experiences, leveraging from those insights and those learnings, right? Or so this could be in the form of different match day experiences, or this could be in exclusive content, or maybe developing loyalty programs. There's so many things you could do, but again, always being driven by those insights. And these innovations, they need to be relevant, and they have to be aligned with the current trends, with the current fan expectations. It's tough, but at the end of the day, really understand or be very good at understanding the context. Okay. Some examples here: smart stadiums. As we were just mentioning, Eintracht implemented Internet of Things initiatives. To create smart stadiums. You also have your augmented reality. Everything that becomes more immersive, more interactive, is probably going to have a bright future. And obviously, in a world of AI, personalized content. I mean, at the end of the day, being able to analyze data to understand what each fan wants, what each segment. For those of you that have big communities, that's going to be a difference maker. Again, innovation without empathy, without understanding the fan behaviors, it's just expensive guesswork. So make sure you have your mechanisms in place to really understand where the fan is. Okay, going back to what Eintracht did, for example, some new business ideas. Well, they actually was interesting because they had B2C initiatives, but also B2B initiatives. They went for full spectrum here. So for example, they launched the Arena IoT. They actually use the stadium as a test ground for innovative solutions. Such as, again, as we were saying, smart energy, smart waste management, autonomous driving, even. But here's the clever part. These solutions, they have applications beyond the stadium. These can be applied to airports, to shopping malls, and suddenly, the football club is positioned as an innovation hub for the entire city of Frankfurt rather than just the football club, right? So think about this. How can any initiative that you implement in your club serve the entire community and position yourself? No? We'll talk about this in more detail later, but eSports, Eintracht Frankfurt also entered the eSports arena because, even with their eSports academy, as we said, they also had B2B digital services, so this implies, I don't know, ticketing solutions or e-commerce platforms. I remember talking to them and they had their own software, they became a software provider. That was just amazing to see. Obvious, but nonetheless, it's another revenue stream is use the stadium as a place where the whole tech conferences and meetups. For example, we had our football innovation forum a couple of weeks ago in Tottenham Hotspur. So a lot of clubs are doing this, and obviously everything related to membership-based services. This is something that they're also doing. So exclusive content, offers, everything related to the app. Really, it's just about creating a unique selling proposition for the members. Okay. Another club that was very strong in terms of innovation, I remember this conversation was very, very fun, was Club Brugge, right? So they also did a lot of innovation through technology and data, just to really improve fan experience. So this is a concept that we've discussed in the past as well, which is reducing friction in the stadium. So for example, cashless stadium experiences, cashback system, and why is this important? Because at the end of the day, if you make that experience memorable, people are going to come back. And as we said, being able to deliver a successful stadium experience is the differentiator of sports versus other forms of entertainment, correct? So if you make it easy and enjoyable and fun, people are going to come back. But again, you really have to understand, you have to be very fan centric, you really have to involve the fan, see where they are, and hey, test and iterate. This is something that Thomas was very, very keen on. They select a small group of fans before actually scaling the initiative. Okay, um, um, and once they do that, they can actually talk about scaling, embracing, for example, technologies like AI and automation, or actually they were also very strong in terms of esports because they understand that esports is a way to engage with the younger fans. But again, they're understanding the fan behavior. Okay, so they offer gaming related content and experiences that actually just look to connect with that younger audience. But again, I'm just going back to a quote that Thomas said, which is, they try and test things. So they just select a small crowd and, they select panels of fans to talk to. And based on that, they create the initiatives, they test it, they launch it, they scale it. Okay. Some initiatives they've done there, so membership based services. So for example, they've tested stuff with AI, with NFTs, smart stadiums, you name it. Okay. Going back to Raide, I remember we discussed this as well, So when you implement technology, and we said this at the beginning, you need to have purpose in mind, okay? So it's just not using tech for the sake of it. But once you understand your fan behavior and your insights and everything that, your different source of data, whether it's a qualitative or quantitative, is telling you, that's going to be the driver of your strategy, okay? And it doesn't matter if you do a B2B service or a B2C service, it works as well, right? So from there, you'll be able to implement technology, AI, NFTs, even direct to consumer. Is your fan there already? Do they want, personalized camera angles? Do they want exclusive behind the scenes content? Is that something that you can deliver? At the end of the day, we've discussed this in the past. Sports is a unique source of memories, stories, emotions. So are you in a position to develop a D2C service that actually helps control that message? Again, the D2C conversation is a tough one because it is expensive in the short run. There's a lot of investment. There's not only just implementing it, but you really need to maintain it later on, right? You need to. So, for example, if you think about FIFA Plus, one of the challenges there is how are they going to be able to keep fans engaged with content? It's nice from the benefits that you can get from a D2C proposition, but again, you really have to think long term and what the resources that you need to commit to make that project happen. Anyway, I did want to spend a few minutes talking about esports because I think it's an area where clubs need to at least look into if they haven't done so already. So as we were saying, Eintracht had their own esports academy. Club Brugge is integrating esports into their fan engagement strategies. Why? Because they need to understand, or they do understand, that esports is just it's not a trend anymore. It's a door to a new generation of fans, right? Just look at some numbers of a panel that we had during World Football Summit Asia 2023 with Ralph Reichart, CEO of the Esports World Cup Foundation. Esports is experiencing rapid growth again. It's expected by the end of 2023, the market was worth around 4 billion, and by 2028, it's expected to reach 6 billion. So amazing there. And it's interesting the concept of how they're, let's see, developing the World Cup because they're actually uniting several esports games under one umbrella. It's creating one global platform that can actually elevate the status of the esports athletes to household names. That's kind of like the key. Anyway, what are some lessons that the esports industry can teach the football industry? Well, the structure of the competitions, it's really global. It's decentralized, whereas you see some other football properties or leagues or tournaments, they're more localized in their national nature. And obviously, esports really is a great proof of concept in terms of the importance of digital engagement and the potential of monetizing directly through in-game purchases, which is something that I think some football clubs are trying to do with other services like merchandise and even betting. So just getting away from that subscription based models. I actually was listening to Ralph. hear talk about this, and the content of the esports initially seems that it's always going to be free because you cannot put a paywall in there. Who's going to watch? But there's many other forms of monetizing, and if you think about it, esports and football are complementary because some fans are actually, they go into football because of video games. They're more inclined to playing. They're more empowered by playing. They're more inclined to adopting digital platforms, and that's where esports has probably an advantage. So it really could be interesting to tap into the esports industry just to get a sense of what type of fans you can generate there. How can you amplify your funnel thanks to esports, and really just it makes you aware of different revenue streams that you can test, so more direct to consumer models such as merchandise and in-game purchases. How can you do that in your football club, right? Can you, for example, sell t-shirts during a match? Or, for example, when will we see, because I think we will see it, that, when a certain player scores a goal, you get a notification on your mobile phone because you're a fan of that player, saying that, just because that player scored a goal, you get an extra discount on their kit. I don't know. I'm just making this up, right? The thing is, esports clubs, they're very good at creating club identity versus national pride, let's say, right? So I think some lessons there. And Peter Moore also talked about the synergy between football and video games. I mean, at the end of the day, video games create fans. He was actually talking about how some younger fans actually follow players they choose on the video games. And then from there, they become fans of the club, right? So it's just a matter of really staying ahead of the curve, see where the fans are going, and see how you can use that as a leverage or benefit to your football property. It helps amplify the funnel. But again, think about the model that she actually shared, which is acquisition, engagement, and monetization. When you focus first on delivering value, on amplifying that funnel, on acquiring and engaging with that customer, then that's when it's going to lead into monetization. If you think about this, it's really give value before actually capturing value, which is a concept that we've discussed in the podcast in the past. Football is always the essence. That's undeniable, and the rest, it's just formats to engage with. But again, why? Because football is it's a unique in the way that it generates emotion, it generates stories. It's not just about the game; it's about the community, about the sense of belonging. And there's a big, strong community in esports as well in video games. They're very, very connected. Okay. And when you speak about emotional connection, that's what makes football clubs different versus other industries. Just the amount of loyalty and passion, that you have there. That's something that football clubs need to embrace. And if you think about it, esports is content and it's storytelling. And that is the role of content. We've discussed this in the past as well. Is key for fan engagement. Peter said actually that content is king. Exclusive content, behind the scenes content. Humanizing the players are ways to keeping fan engaged in ways that no other form of entertainment can. And that, I mean, we've said it in the past. Content drives engagement, and engagement leads to revenues, right? So keep that in mind. And of course, you really need to have an equilibrium between the global fan base and the local support, because the global fan base is key for commercial growth, for broadcasting opportunities at the international level. But if you think about it, the local fans are the identity of the club. They're the heart of the club. So really just make sure that you take care of both. Remember what he said, a club has to have a local heart and a global pulse. And when you think about video games, they're able to do that. They have they effectively connect an international community. And so it's a global platform. Going back to the content and storytelling, I mean, if you're able to subscribe your fans to your local content, that's going to drive huge revenues opportunities. Okay, why is effective storytelling important? You get to tap into new audiences, especially we've said in the past. Today's fan is less passionate and more fragmented. But that doesn't mean there's no interest in sport. You can argue it's at higher levels than at any time in history because of the amount of channels you can actually consume sport. So let's talk about documentaries and how they have the power to engage various demographics. You have video games, you have fantasy games, you have social media highlights. At the end of the day, there's so many ways to create stories in the different contexts and the different platforms. And sometimes you can even discover things that you didn't consider before. No. So, for example, documentaries, they're timeless. It's not like the live game where, you have start and finish. Think about The Last Dance, about Michael Jordan. I mean, that uh, documentary was able to engage different generations of fans. So, for example, my dad followed because, back in the day, he used to watch the NBA when, Michael Jordan was in his prime. I was actually starting to become a basketball fan myself. But even, for example, I have nephews who've watched the documentary, who've become Jordan fans thanks to that documentary. Whereas probably a few years ago, they didn't even know who Jordan was. Yes, they heard about him, but not really what he was capable of. No? And again, it humanizes the athlete. A documentary just helps, people see another side of the athlete, a more personal side, a more human stuff. So that's really key there. Of course, it is true that there's a lot of content out there, and this is something that we talked today, that you really need to focus on quality over quantity in today's day and age. So really have to be, again, you have to research well, you have to commit good resources and commit over the long term, not just do one documentary and that's it. When you are very strategic about your content creation, you really have to commit resources and do stuff that actually you're going to be able to maintain over time, and it has to be relevant. And the timing is key. So, for example, The Last Dance was it was at a point in time when we were all in the pandemic, and it was a great way. There was no basketball, there was no competition for basketball. What better timing to launch that? So again, timing is crucial. Context is crucial. So even if you have a great story, if you do not launch it at the right time, you could fail. Okay. The thing is, these stories, they're just not entertainment. They're bridges. They're bridges between generations of fans, between cultures, between the local, between the global. So that's the benefit of creating good storytelling. At the end of the day, this is what football's all about. It's not just a game. It's a community. It's a shared language. It's a way for people to connect across borders and boundaries. So it's just amazing what football can do. But again, if you work it right, another interesting example is the David Beckham documentary or Drive to Survive. I mean, look at the new fans that they were able to create over in the United States, and how Formula One has become so popular there. So what lessons can you learn from that? Well, know your audience. You really have to understand who your target demographic is, and content has to be tailored to their interests, but also to the context. And again, timing. Okay, invest in production, and obviously you have to leverage multiple platforms. We've said it. This is not just about creating a long form content, but then you have to make sure how is that content going to be distributed. And not only streaming services, but also social media, traditional media. How can you make sure that once you create that content, and the best marketers know this, when you create content, it's not about the production itself; it's about the distribution of that content. Okay, that's going to actually help make it succeed. No, and this really brings us back to our final point, which is fan engagement. Again, we've said it before, but I just want to repeat it again because I think it's a powerful lesson. Content drives engagement, which drives revenue. And in the digital age, fan engagement, it just goes far beyond the match day. It's 24/7. It's 365 days a year. And it's a commitment. Yes, it is. It's a challenge. Yes, it is. But it's also an opportunity. So as we look into the future of football, let's remember this. Technology, the strategies, the innovations, and they're all tools. But the goal, it's just not to just fill stadiums or just boost revenue. It's actually to create experiences that resonate. Those unique stories, those unique memories that only football can create. And that is actually help create communities that are going to last. It's not about being digital. It's about being human in a digital world. All right. So let's not forget those emotions. Football is the essence, and football is emotion. So it's really about using technology to enhance those emotions, those stories, not replace them. So I want to leave you with this thought: football is evolving. The question is, are you evolving with it? Are you watching from the sidelines? Are you ready to embrace new technologies, new strategies, new ways of engaging with fans? Are you prepared to take risks, to innovate? You will fail. That's a given. But will you learn from it? In the world of football, as in life, really, the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. So the clubs that are able, to thrive are the ones that are willing to experiment, to listen to their fans, and to just constantly adapt to new contexts, new realities. So keep innovating, keep connecting, and more importantly, let's all keep loving football. This is what it's all about. That's really it for today. Let me know your thoughts. As always, reach out on social media if you have any feedback that you want to share, what you thought about this episode or any other. And obviously, it does help a lot if you share with people, in the industry, with colleagues, and rate and subscribe. It does help us bring amazing guests. Hopefully, we'll be able to share with you and go back to interviews in a little bit. But just wanted to share with you some thoughts that have been running through my mind lately, and really nothing else from my side. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you next time.